today's short episode, we're back to myth busting. I have myself fallen for the myth we're going to look at today, so I totally get where folks are coming from. What I want to talk about is the medical fallacy. So, when I say this, what I mean is that there's an argument that a lot of the time when dogs show behavioral problems, it's due to an underlying physical cause. And it would, of course, not be fair, and you would feel very bad in the future if you punished your dog for a behavior that later turned out to be caused by an underlying physical issue. So the dog basically couldn't help it because they were in chronic pain or they had a brain tumor, just for an example. Maybe they just had a headache that day, right? And I agree. I used to make this argument all the time myself. And it is still a valid argument. Before I'm going to do a major behavioral intervention, of course, I'm going to send you to have your dog checked out. I want to know if physically the dog can be given a clean bill of health by a good veterinarian who really knows what they're looking for and what they're looking at. Musculoskeleton, if the behavior is extra weird, maybe we'll even do an MRI. I don't know, like you just go to the vet of your choice and ask them to refer you out to a specialist if they consider this to be a good idea. We want to be sure that we have all our bases covered, be that blood work, be that a neurological exam, be that a physio specialist, whatever that means for your dog. And this will depend. Sometimes it's observable, right? Maybe your dog is like limping. That's pretty straightforward. Let's figure out, can we get x-rays? If they don't show anything, can we look at the muscular functions of the dog? Or other times it is less straightforward, and then, well, your vet will know what to tell you. And if it's a curable thing and your dog requires painkillers or surgery, well, that's what we do first. We get your dog into surgery, or we get your dog on painkillers until we know they're at a level that we can keep them on so they don't feel chronic pain anymore. If the vets or all the vets don't find anything, but it still seems that there might be a physical problem, for example, let's say sometimes a dog is limping or like walking in a weird way, but none of the exams or x-rays reveal anything. Clearly, still something is going on, because otherwise the dog wouldn't be limping. In that case, what has been recommended, and that I think is a great idea, is to use Rimadyl or another medication that doesn't really have major side effects and that your dog can be on for a prolonged period of time, and then just observe if their behavior changes. And if it does, we know that clearly being in pain has contributed to their behavior, right? And if that's the case, well, either we can take further steps to examine what's going on. Maybe the next step is an MRI. Maybe it is simply that we keep the dog on those painkillers for the foreseeable future. In any case, that still may need to be combined with a behavioral intervention. If we don't find anything that's wrong with the dog, we'll also want to run a behavioral intervention. And sometimes we will find that there is a chronic problem, that your dog is in chronic pain, or we will even find something, but it is not treatable. And, well, we still have a behavioral problem now, right? We still need to work on the behavioral problem, even if there may be a physical factor involved, and including if a physical factor contributed to the original exhibition of the behavioral problem, and then we cure the physical issue, but the behavioral problem persists because it has become a habit, we now still need to work on the behavioral problem. So yes, I'm all for first doing a full physical checkup, but then not stopping there. And also not making excuses. There are things that are never okay for our dog, and sometimes two things are going on and they do not affect each other at all, right? Maybe your dog has a physical issue, but they also have a behavioral issue, and it's not caused by the physical issue at all. And in the end, it doesn't really matter. And that's where the fallacy comes in. Like, we like making excuses for dogs because they have a physical medical issue. I'm all for curing the physical medical issue, whether it has anything to do with the dog's behavior or not. If your dog is showing signs of being physically in pain, even if they're super nice to everyone and every other dog around them, well, get that dog help. But if the dog has a physical issue and we cure the physical issue and the behavioral issue persists, we still need to address the behavioral issue as if there had never been a physical issue. And even if the physical issue is uncurable, we still need to address the behavioral issue, because, and that's where people like kind of, I think, get sidetracked, because we feel bad for the dog who is physically in pain and we can't help them. So we start making excuses for them. I understand, like, I can totally sympathize with that sentiment. I have a condition that affects my feet when it's very hot, and then I can hardly walk. So it's disabling and it's very painful. And I know from personal experience that I tend to get pretty, well, like my threshold for getting angry and snappy and mean just gets lower if that flares up, because pain like just causes my baseline amicability to go down. And I can totally understand if that's the case for dogs as well. Also, when I'm super stressed, as happens sometimes, I'm also not as nice to other people as I usually am, simply because that stress just changes my disposition a little bit. My being chill about stuff is just a little lesser than it usually would be. And that is understandable, absolutely. And the same goes for our dogs. And yet, and that's the important point that I used to myself not talk about or think about when it came to dogs with potential physical issues. So even if my feet have a flare up, I can barely walk, and I'm in a highly stressful, chronic stress situation for like 2 months nonstop. Even if that's the case, it is not okay for me to walk around and stab people if they're rude to me. That is never okay for me. It does not matter how stressed I am, and it doesn't matter how much I'm in pain. It doesn't matter whether I'm having a bad day. I don't get to take my kitchen knife and slit someone's throat, let's say. I don't even get to walk up to them and punch them in the face. There are things that are never okay, they're not acceptable, and if I did that for no good reason at all, other than that this person kind of annoyed me a little bit, then I need to face the consequences. The same goes for our dogs. Our dogs are never allowed to bite children or chase down bicycles and jump on them so the person on the bicycle falls, or chase cars, or bite anyone else, like, unless they're robbing you or physically threatening you. Like, there are always exceptions, right? My dog, of course, gets to bite you if you break into my apartment. I will probably send my dog to bite you. But or if you physically assault me, my dog and me are both gonna go come for you. But in the absence of these extraordinary and highly unlikely circumstances, dogs don't get to harm, scare, or threaten humans, no matter how they feel, even if they're chronically ill. And the next step there in my current thinking is that I still want to maximize my dog's freedom. Let me briefly look where my dog went. Hi, game! I'm out on a walk and multitasking. Oh, here she comes. Drop. Thank you. What did you find? No, we can't eat that. Leave it. She just found something to eat, but it's in a plastic bag, and I don't want her to inhale the plastic bag alongside with the food that's in it. Anyways, back to our topic. I still believe in maximizing our dog's freedom, right? And that means even if my dog is in chronic pain, I want them to be off leash anytime they can. So if my dog is in chronic pain and that causes them to be a little bit of a jerk to other dogs they meet off leash, my solution is not going to be to keep my dog on leash at all times, because they're in chronic pain. So I cannot tell them that it's not okay to be jerk to other dogs. So I need to keep them on leash, and their life quality is going to get even lower, because now not only are they in chronic pain, but even on their good days, they don't get to be off leash ever. Instead, I want to be able to tell my dog that, yes, you have off leash freedom, and even though you're in chronic pain, you don't get to be a jerk ever. I want to have that discussion once. I want it to be clear. I don't want it to be scary or traumatizing in any way, shape, or form. And then I want to provide my dog with the greatest possible freedom and life quality. So the medical fallacy is thinking that because a dog has a medical issue, we do not get to run a behavioral intervention. The trainer I am today believes that, yes, let's check first for medical issues, if the dog gives us any reason to think that that is something we should do, then let's treat the medical issue if it is treatable, and then let's look at the behavior again and definitely run a behavioral intervention if it is called for, no matter what the physical issue was or continues to be. And I guess, yes, in case of doubt, we can run a pain meds trial to see if that changes anything about the dog's behavioral issues. But if it doesn't, well, we're going to address the behavioral issue, whether that implies continuing pain meds anyways, because we were not able to actually diagnose what the physical issue was. That sometimes happens with humans, but even more so with dogs, because we can't ask them where it hurts and what hurts and when it hurts. And I assume that just like with humans, like some people have chronic headaches or pap, 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 pap. Muy bien, mi amor. Or chronic stomach issues, and like even with humans, that can take a long time to resolve. And the same goes for dogs. That does not mean we should put their behavioral welfare on pause. And for me, behavioral welfare is tightly connected to freedom. It is okay, of course, if you disagree with me. There is no one right answer to these kinds of questions, and a huge part of why that is that we cannot ask the dogs because we don't share a language. We can just observe their behavior. And I think most of us, especially if we're professionals, can tell when a dog seems fulfilled, joyful, running around out and about. I hope this has given you some food for thought. I'll talk to you soon. Stay dangerous. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Hit like and subscribe, and if you're enjoying this podcast, share it with a friend or take a few minutes to leave me a review. Those really help spread the word. Also, check out my library of free dog training resources at adventuredogsanarchy.com/free stuff and on youtube.com/@adventure-dogs, and my membership program at patreon.com/adventuredogs. I'd love to have you. Happy training and stay dangerous.